Most people think power only comes from gunpowder, but history and reality tell a very different story. Because long before firearms existed, humans were already building tools that could hunt, defend, and survive with brutal efficiency. And even today, some of the most effective tools don't rely on bullets, pressure, or explosions. They rely on something much simpler: precision, mechanics, control. The problem is, most people underestimate these tools. They assume if it's not loud, not explosive, not modern, it must be less effective. But in real-world scenarios, especially survival situations, quiet, reliable, and repeatable often beats powerful but limited. Because survival isn't about dominance, it's about sustainability. And that's where these tools begin to make sense. Number 1. The crossbow that rewrites distance. This is where something like a modern crossbow completely changes perception. At first glance, it feels like old technology, but today's crossbows are anything but outdated. They're precise, quiet, and incredibly powerful. And unlike firearms, they don't rely on ammunition that disappears after use. Bolts can be reused, adjusted, recovered. That changes everything in a long-term scenario. A solid example is the Centerpoint Sniper Elite 385 crossbow. It's not just about power. It's about control and repeatability. Number 2. The compound bow that rewards skill. This is where things get more personal. A compound bow doesn't just function. It demands involvement. You don't just pull a trigger, you engage with it. And that connection creates something most modern tools don't offer: consistency through practice. In the right hands, it becomes incredibly accurate and efficient. And more importantly, it's silent. A good option is the Bear Archery Royale Compound Bow. It's compact, controlled, and built for real use, not just display. Number 3. The slingshot that people still underestimate. Most people see a slingshot and think of childhood. That's a mistake. Because modern slingshots, especially when paired with steel ammo, are far more capable than people realize. They're lightweight, easy to carry, and almost impossible to run out of ammo for. Because you can adapt. Small game hunting, defense, utility. It's one of the most overlooked tools in survival. A strong example is the Simple Shot Scout XT slingshot. It's minimal, but highly effective when used correctly. Number 4. The tactical knife that doesn't fail. This is where things get closer. Because unlike distance tools, a knife operates in immediate space. And that means control matters even more. Not size, not intimidation. Control. A well-designed fixed blade becomes reliable in ways most people don't expect. Cutting, carving, preparing, even defensive scenarios if necessary. A proven option is the Ka-Bar Becker BK2 Companion. It's heavy, but built to handle real stress without compromise. Number 5. The spear that still works today. The spear is one of the oldest tools ever created, and yet, it still works. Because reach is advantage. Distance gives you control, without exposure. And in survival scenarios, that matters more than anything. Modern versions are compact, portable, and surprisingly effective. A good example is the Cold Steel Assegai Spear. It's simple, but simplicity is what makes it reliable. Number 6. The air rifle that changes everything. This is where things start to feel modern again, but without gunpowder, air rifles operate differently. They rely on compressed air, not explosions. And that means quieter shots, reusable ammo, and controlled output. For small game, they're incredibly efficient. And in the right environment, they can sustain long-term use. The Gamma Whisper Fusion Mach 1 is a strong example. It blends power with discretion, something survival often demands. Number 7. The throwing axe that isn't just for show. Throwing axes are often misunderstood. People see them as sport, but historically, they were tools of both hunting and combat. And even today, their utility goes beyond throwing. Chopping, splitting, processing wood, and yes, controlled throwing when needed. The SOG throwing axe set represents this balance. It's not about fantasy, it's about function. Number 8. The tactical baton that controls space. Not every situation requires cutting or penetration. Sometimes, control is more important than damage. This is where something like a tactical baton becomes useful. It extends your reach without escalating force unnecessarily. And in uncertain environments, that flexibility matters. The ASP Expandable Baton is a trusted choice. It's compact when stored, but instantly effective when deployed. Number 9. The survival sling that multiplies force. A sling is one of the oldest projectile tools ever used, and yet, most people have never used one properly. But in trained hands, it can launch projectiles with surprising speed and force. And like the slingshot, ammo is almost unlimited. Stones, metal, anything adaptable. A solid option is the practical paracord survival sling. It's lightweight, but powerful in the right hands. Number 10. The silent dart system. No one talks about. This is where things become even more controlled. Blow dart systems are rarely discussed, but they exist for a reason. They're silent, lightweight, and extremely precise at short range. Not for every situation, but in specific scenarios. Highly effective. A reliable example is the cold steel big bore blowgun. It's simple, but precision-based tools often are. And when you step back and look at all of this, something becomes very clear. None of these tools rely on noise. None of them depend on complex systems. And none of them fail because of a missing component like gunpowder. They work because they're built on principles that haven't changed in centuries. Control, precision, repeatability. And that's something most people overlook. Because the real advantage isn't always power. It's consistency, a tool that works every time, quietly, reliably, without dependency. That's what survival is built on. And the biggest mistake people make is assuming modern automatically means better. Because sometimes, the tools that last the longest are the ones that never needed complexity in the first place. So before you think about what's powerful, think about what still works when everything else doesn't. That's where real survival begins. Stay aware, stay prepared, and choose tools that don't rely on luck,